Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, is now paying Elon Musk $1.25 billion every single month. That's $15 billion a year, going from the maker of Claude to the maker of Grok. And the reason why is the most awkward story in AI right now. Let's start with the number, because it's the part that makes people do a double take. Anthropic, the lab behind Claude, is paying $1.25 billion a month to rent computing power from a company controlled by Elon Musk. Not a one-time deal. Every month. The question is, why on earth a company would hand that kind of money to its rival's boss? And here's the thing, nobody set out to announce it. The deal surfaced inside paperwork, SpaceX's IPO filing, the S-1 it submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Buried in the financials was the fact that Anthropic is one of the customers paying to use Musk's data centers. A rival relationship, quietly disclosed to Wall Street. To see why that's so strange, you need the corporate map. In 2026, SpaceX and xAI merged, xAI becoming a part of SpaceX, which now handles both the rockets and the AI. So SpaceX owns Grok, the chatbot, and it owns the giant data centers built to train Grok. Which means when Anthropic rents that compute, the rent check lands inside Musk's empire. Run the math and it gets bigger. $1.25 billion a month is roughly $15 billion a year, for about 300 megawatts of computing power, drawn from a cluster called Colossus near Memphis, Tennessee. $15 billion a year is the kind of budget that builds an entire company. Anthropic is spending it to run on someone else's machines. And this is the irony at the center of the whole story. The hardware Anthropic is paying for was built to train Grok, Musk's answer to Claude and ChatGPT. So the company whose model keeps beating Grok in benchmarks is now paying to keep Grok's own servers running. One rival, writing monthly checks, to the other. So why would Musk rent his crown jewel compute to the enemy? Simple, because Grok flopped, and the servers were sitting empty. A data center this size costs a fortune in electricity whether it's busy or idle. An empty server is a money fire. Renting that space to Anthropic turns a loss into income, even if the tenant is the competition. How badly did Grok flop? Its app downloads fell about 60% in the first few months of 2026, from roughly 20 million in January to around 8.3 million by April. Add repeated outages and a scramble to shut off free image generation, and you get a product losing users fast. Which left an awful lot of very expensive hardware with nothing to do. And the giant really is a giant. Colossus is reported to hold around 555,000 GPUs and draw close to 2 gigawatts of power, a small city's worth of electricity. Yet by some accounts it was running at only about 11% of capacity, while rival operators ran nearer 40%. That gap is the opening. Empty racks, a willing tenant, and a need for cash. Now let's be honest about the numbers, because the hype gets ahead of the facts. The solid figure is $1.25 billion a month, about $15 billion a year. You'll see a $45 billion headline. That's the total only if the deal runs all the way to May 2029. But it can be cancelled, with 90 days notice, by either side. So treat $45 billion as a ceiling, not a promise. And that 90-day clause is the catch. Anthropic is training and serving some of Claude on hardware controlled by a competitor. If Grok ever bounces back, Musk has every incentive to want those servers for himself, and he can give notice and take them. It means part of Claude's brain sits on a machine the rival can switch off. In the industry, that's called concentration risk, and it's a real one. So you can read this two completely different ways. On one side, it's smart money. Anthropic grabs scarce compute fast, far cheaper than building new data centers, and turns a rival's failure into its own fuel. On the other, it's a dangerous bet. The company's most important workloads now sit on a competitor's machines, on a 90-day fuse. Brilliant, or reckless, and honestly, it might be both. Step back, and this tells you something about the whole industry. Even the very best labs can't build compute fast enough to keep up with their own ambitions. So they end up renting from each other, sharing the same enormous data centers behind the scenes. The AI race isn't only about who has the smartest model anymore. It's about who can get the electricity and the GPUs to run it. And that's the whole strange picture. The company whose model keeps beating Grok is the same company paying, every month, to keep Grok's servers warm. A rival funding a rival, because neither of them can win this race alone. That one monthly bill might be the clearest snapshot of the AI arms race we've got. So I'll put it to you. Is this a genius move, locking up compute the moment it's available, or is Anthropic selling a piece of its soul to its biggest rival? Tell me where you land in the comments. I'm the Shipyard, I read the filings so you don't have to. Subscribe for no hype AI and developer news, and I'll see you in the next one.